For many years, this has been my adrenaline fix.
I let it go 'cause I won't see you later on. Now that I figure it out.
Why don't you nail it and see what happens?
But as much as a V10 howl is exciting,
It was good until we nearly died.
what I really loved was this. Fishing has been my main passion for over 15 years. Although peaceful and relaxing, believe it or not, it can be a competitive and heated space. Overnight carp fishing, match fishing, sea angling, fly fishing, course fishing, and many more.
Many people will be surprised that fishing is actually the world's biggest participation sport and one of the UK's fastest growing sports in general. Which means since COVID, there's started to be a problem. There's too many anglers and there's simply not enough places for them to fish. So in 2020, after my dad died, I sold the family business. And that has made me come up with an idea. Why don't I get a piece of land and dig a lake myself? I mean, how hard can it be? But if you're digging a fishing lake, you have to have somewhere to do it. And luckily, I have just the place, a 3-acre paddock field right behind where I live, which is about 2 miles away from where we are now. And where we are now is where I grew up fishing when I was younger, Buscott Park Fishing Lake on this glorious estate. It's a couple of feet deep, it's dug on clay, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing back in my field. So just behind me is the entrance where you come into the field, and I'm actually stood on what is going to become the road to the fishery. It'll come in here and sweep round to the left. Right here, what we've been doing is Jack has been strimming away at the verges because we're going to bund up a load of material that comes out of the lake and then plant it all up with things like laurel hedging and different types of trees and bushing. And if you follow me this way, down the road, which will lead to where the car parking spaces are in the fishery, will be coming right adjacent to where the lake is going to be. Now, for the last few months, I've been out here on my lawnmower, basically crafting the outer shape of the lake within the grass. And tomorrow is the first day on the project where my builder Martin and myself will be staking all of this out and putting up all the health and safety equipment to make sure that we're all safe, ready for the equipment to start arriving on site on Monday.
Introducing the team. My good friend Bold Steve helped us out on this project, who has extensive knowledge in building stuff. And then there's Martin. He is also bold, but unlike Steve that's voluntary bold, I think Martin is naturally bold. Martin is the main excavator and a very talented digger operator. Then there's Damo. Damo just gets very angry. He's a man of few words, and all we can really tell is that he likes a Chinese. Then there's Louis, my 15-year-old neighbour, responsible for child labour activities on site. Then there's Jack. Jack is a highly skilled groundsman that luckily lives just a couple of minutes down the road from me. And then there's Mum, cup of tea and biscuit expert, planter extraordinaire, and the person that usually has a hole in their wellies. And this is Vincent James Carpentry. He loves a bit of good wood and has built all sorts of things for me, from podcast studios to glamping pods. So this is me mowing the outline of the lake. And this is Jack. adding temporary fencing to a protected hedge. A couple of weeks later, we allowed the farmer to come in and take the grass for hay, leaving the sunburnt outline of the lake that I'd mowed visible on the ground, meaning that we can dig easily. And it also meant taking the hay away that we created a clean, flat field to work safely and easily on.
So I can't actually believe it, but tomorrow morning, the project officially starts. And that has taken over 18 months of planning permission to just get to the point that we're out now.
For any project like this, you are going to need some serious equipment. And luckily, we had just the kit. We hired a 22-ton digger with giant buckets, and my builder Martin had a 16-ton machine for the lighter work. We also had a JCB loader. Luckily, I bought this a couple of years ago, and it's always been brilliant for unloading pallets, moving stuff around, and general handiwork. Dumper trucks. We had 2 of these on site throughout the dig. These pieces of equipment are brilliant for running topsoil and clay all the way over the field and piling it up in different locations. The excavator excavates it and puts it in the dumper, moving it to a different part of the site. When most people think of a lake, they think of a featureless bowl, much like a kitchen sink. But you couldn't be further from the truth with most lakes, and it certainly isn't the case for Kev's Pool. If you look at the bottom of Kev's Pool, it's a little bit similar to a house. On the top right, jettying out, there's actually something called a plateau, which is almost like a dinner table for carp, only 3 foot deep on top and creates a brilliant space for them to eat. On the top right and top left, we have deep holes. These are where carp get, they can rub, almost like scratching your back, and they create another area for fish to mingle. The cigar-shaped area in the middle of the lake that you can see is called a gully, which is where 2 pieces of ground meat underwater and then drops off, forming a kind of motorway for the carp. The lower right-hand side of the lake is a lot shallower. It's always great in a lake to have a shallower area where fish can bask during the summer. Around the perimeter of the lake is a marginal shelf. This is where all the reeds are planted, and it harbours loads of naturals. If you can land a rig on that marginal shelf, you're usually in with the chance of a bite. If you're digging a lake, you have to think about 2 things: how you get the water in and how you get the water away. And also, what happens to all the water that falls around it. Well, in our case, one of the major things we had to do was create something called a French drain. We had an existing ditch that ran around the perimeter and the boundary between the lake and our property, but this needed severely upgrading. So what we did, and this only took a couple of days, was get some really big pipes, slit holes in them so that water can get in, lay them in the ditch on something called taram, which stops weeds growing, and then fill it with gravel and stones. This forms something then called a French drain system that can actually be buried by earth, like a bund, meaning any water that then hits the ground and moves through the layers hits this French drain system and runs seamlessly away through the pipe. What we also then were able to do was connect up an overflow system that you'll see later into a corner of the lake, meaning just like the tap in your sink, if the water rises high enough, it will hit the overflow, go down the pipe into the French drain system, and using gravity, get the water down to the road and away. Here we go, I've got sight cam on today. He's being rained off, I reckon, already. Second full day, it is absolutely pissing it down, to be fair. What he's actually going to do
is going to see his accountant because he wants me to send him money. But it is damn wet out here.
It's pissing down, isn't it? Can I go and have a cup of coffee or not?
You could do. You're being rained off on the first full day. You're being rained off.
I think it'd be a good time to go down.
This isn't very July, is it? Right, you better come back.
See you in a bit.
You heard him. I'll see you in a bit.
Go and get a cortado, right?
All right then.
I can put that on
The first job for the equipment is actually removing the topsoil.
Yep. Gonna leave that recording for a bit, alright?
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I'll give you another quick blast.
Using the dumpers, we moved this to another location in the field. The reason for doing this is topsoil is mega expensive. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a bag in your local garden centre, but imagine the value of about 100 tonnes of this stuff. So that's why we've piled it up on this side of the field so that we can use it later. All the clay that's removed, we can put topsoil over the top of, so it grows grass again. And trust me, we needed this. For some reason, Damo just couldn't stop breaking dumpers. Nobody else had a problem with machinery on the project, just Damo. Damo managed to go through several dumpers, with the hire company having to drop off a new one every time.
I reckon it's cut now.
It doesn't even fit on it, does it?
We simply couldn't figure out how he was breaking them.
Here he is with his fucking wheelbarrow.
I feel like I've got to put these a good width apart so that fucking machine can get through. Now in the field we have 3 different colours of pegs. Now the purpose of this is to mark out different areas. The yellow pegs are to mark out the boundary of the lake, where the blue pegs are to mark out the boundary of the bunds or the mounds that we're going to build with the material that's coming out, and the red pegs are to mark out where the electricity pylons are so that we don't hit them. So I've just got to continue banging in some yellow pegs around the edge as we do our topsoil strip. Fuck!
What are you doing, Ben?
Sensational. Shit.
Fucking flies.
Why are they bothering you so much? That's what happens. You want to be like it when an extra lake. Because the ground's being churned up. Lots of nutrients. I hit your daughter with that speed.
Your son.
Just shut the fuck up. Look, I've got a bone to pick with you lesbians anyway.
Whilst most of the filming was done by the professionals, I'd bought myself a time-lapse camera, and I was determined, even though I'm not a fan of heights, I was going to be the one that stuck it up the pole.
Oh, it's fucking hideous. Doing manual labours. This is safe, isn't it?
First part my arse on your face, Steve.
Ah! So we are 3 days in. Welcome to the Lakefield site. If you follow me, we're going to take a look. On the left, you can see we've had all fitted, our drainage, French drains covered over, loads of stone in there to get the water away when it rains heavy from the road, the tracks, and the rest of the project. On the right here, we're walking past our topsoil mound. But this is where the main action has been happening. And can you believe, in only 3 days, we've gone from a flat field to having nearly half an acre excavated of land using just one 22-ton digger. So it's actually a little bit deceptive just how deep this is going to be. When you look at it from the bank, it doesn't actually look as deep as it is. But where I'm stood now, this area is going to be about 5 foot deep. You can see if I come up to the edge of the bank, that pretty much comes up to the top of my chest, and the water level is actually going to be about here because we're building up around the edges of the lake. And that's a really good depth for a kind of clay holiday carp fishing lake. It means when you cast, you can get a good drop, feel the lead down and hit the bottom. We're really trying to dig this and think about the anglers that are fishing it. Once we've excavated the bulk of this material, that's when we'll get in here with the little digger and start creating all the features such as the bowls, the humps and the bumps to make this lake as good as it can possibly be for carp anglers.
Everything had finally begun to get into full swing. The digger was moving topsoil, the dozer was putting it over our mounds, the lake had been dug, and the clay had been smoothed. But Damo still had his dumper issues.
It's the second one he's fucked now. It's the second one he's fucked. We don't know what he keeps doing to them. I mean, yesterday he was having some proper moments on that. But that's number 2. The thing is with Damo, he's like the calmest bloke I've ever met. Like Steve was saying yesterday, he must have started it like, I don't know, 40, 50 times yesterday. It cut out on him. This was the previous one as well, before this one come this morning. And he's just like, his facial expression don't change. He just like starts it back up again. It's mad, isn't it? Look, here's Steve now. Was just saying, it's doing it again. How has he done another one?
Have you broken it again?
He's broken it again, hasn't he? He's got no facial expression though, has he?
No, it's dead to the
It's just switched off about 4 or 5 times though again. It cut out twice. It cut out twice here in the same place.
Drives Dave on mad, doesn't it?
We tell him it's his ass.
Beginning to look like a lake now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Although annoying for the rest of us, much to Steve's enjoyment, watching Damo's dumper cut out as he went across the field multiple times was probably the highlight of his project. All in a day's work, it's amazing what you can do with a 22-ton digger.
Gaylord. Now, we didn't know until we actually started digging the whole area how good the clay will be. But so far, the stuff that's come out has been totally perfect. Really blue in colour, and this is perfect for creating a lake. You can use the back of that bucket to smooth it out, and it's actually better than the test hole that we did a little while ago. If you take a look over the area that we've dug, there's a proper blue tinge to the clay.
Sorry. You're not sorry, Phil, are you?
They've also had to level off using some material all the way around the edge of the lake to make sure that the site is level, because this field is actually on a proper slope. So we've levelled up the site by making sure we've taken the material that's coming out and put it on the road, and then use the tracks on the excavator to track it in to the ground.
This giant machine is called a dozer. The driver goes up and down in it all day, tracking the soil as far down into the ground as it can possibly go to make sure the mounds are as low as possible. Although the project had gone smoothly up to this point, some things are just too good to be true.
You are joking. I've been dobbed in for planning.
Next time in part 2.
Oh, I really needed that piss. Welcome to Adventures with Ben, part 4. Today, I have got and I've hired a water pump because I've managed to flood this, which is my new trench.
But that's what they designed it for, to let the